Sorry, folks, park's closed. The moose out front should have told you. Well, we're definitely open for business as we go on vacation, hopefully not killing anyone along the way, dog or otherwise, for this all-new episode of Totally 80s and 90s Recall. Hello and welcome. On this podcast, we'll take a look at everything the 80s and 90s had to offer, from music and movies to television and pop culture. We'll provide some unique insight and hopefully some awesome memories, fun, and nostalgia along the way. If you're new to the show, we're so excited that you found us. And for our returning listeners and subscribers, it's great to have you back. I am one of your hosts, David, joined as always by a man who loves skinny dipping with random hotties at motels, my good friend Rob.
Wow. Yeah, I do like a good skinny dip.
Keep your socks on.
Yeah, must. I don't show my feet. So on behalf of the Totally 80s and 90s Recall team, we want to welcome all of our driven individuals listening today. Here's what we know about you. You're crouched at the starting line, although reluctantly. You're yearning for the cup. You're using your deft maneuvering skills to muscle for rank. Your fuel is burning, and it's burning fast, on an empty tank. You are reckless and wild, your prowess is potent, and you're secretly stern. But even after all the flags go down and the arena is empty, except for one man or woman, that's you, the sun goes down and the moon comes up, but you're still driving and striving as fast as you can. Meanwhile, you're thinking of someone for whom you still burn. This person is all alone in their time of need, and you're racing, you're fighting, you're biting, and you're plotting the course. You're doing all of this even though there's no trophy, no flowers, no flashbulbs, no wine, but you're haunted by something you can't define. Unfortunately, doubt and remorse assail you with monster truck force. Despite all of this, you're going the distance, and we're proud of you.
Ooh.
Yeah, most importantly, we're glad you're here. So yeah,
we are glad.
That's for my driven folks out there.
That is quite profound.
Yeah.
Would you say coming up with that this week was a piece of cake?
It was a piece of cake.
Because it seemed to come very naturally to
it did. Yeah.
So possibly a piece of cake.
Yep.
So, well, as always, a great way to start the show, Rob. Get us thinking, get us feeling something, get us ready to go the distance, and helping us go the distance today. Back again. Joining us, our frequent guest host, a man who Cousin Eddie also says is a great French kisser. It's, of course, Kurt.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me back.
Eddie said he was a good French kisser.
Yes. Cousin Eddie said, yes.
I thought maybe you said he was a good French kisser.
Cousin Eddie seems to be an expert on these things, so...
Well, with David being my brother-in-law, I believe he is my Cousin Eddie.
All right.
No.
Or am I the Cousin Eddie?
You're the Cousin Eddie.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So he's Frenching himself at this point. That's what we're going with.
David has come to my house a number of times, and I'm just standing there in my robe.
Yes.
That's funny.
Listening to Gangsta's Paradise, Frenching himself.
That's right. You just got to practice.
That's a great image.
It's a great image. You get it right in your head, and it just gets stuck there, right? So
that's funny.
Well, Rob, Cousin Kurt is here.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. So why don't we tell our fans what topic we'll be covering for this episode?
Yeah. So at the time of recording, we will be celebrating National Lampoon's Vacation, the 40th anniversary.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing a little film analysis of National Lampoon's Vacation.
Does that make us feel old? 40 years?
I don't know. Yeah, I think anything at this point.
Anything makes us feel old.
I don't realize how long things have been out.
No.
Yeah. You know. When David called me a few days ago and said, "Hey, do you want to come back on the pod and talk about?"
That's so dumb.
What?
Don't say
Are you
pod.
saying dumb having him on the pod?
No.
Oh my gosh, that hurts my feelings.
That does hurt his feelings.
Pod is great.
Yes.
Stupid.
Pod is changed approved.
We're trying to
with
keep this to a certain time limit so we can cut down words where we think is necessary.
That's right.
Whatever.
So,
but as I
go
was
ahead,
saying,
Kurt.
Sorry,
David called me and said, "Hey, do you want to come back on the pod and do this movie?" And I had to text him back, and I go, "I will do it." But to be honest, I have not seen this movie in about 20 years.
A long time.
And I've never felt as old as I ever did that day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I can't remember the last time I saw the unedited.
You've been watching the TBS
Yeah,
version.
I've seen
gotcha.
probably the TBS version. So
yeah, I mean, I catch it on TV from time to time, but I have watched the other one every now and again.
I've forgotten about the boobies.
I will get no one forgets about those.
She showed me her boobies, Mom.
Well, this movie,
and I liked them.
I would say for me, this reminds me of childhood. It feels like a family movie time. We rented the first time I saw this. Parents rented it. We all watched it together. Interesting, by the way. We watched lots of family movies, but I distinctly remember watching this, and it was the first time I remember seeing my dad laugh a lot. It turns out he really likes Chevy Chase. We used to watch old Saturday Night Live episodes on Nick at Night, and he would laugh a lot at that too. So I obviously didn't get everything in the movie that I get watching it now, a lot of it actually, but it was funny, and it just seems like a staple from being a kid if you grew up in the 80s watching this.
Yeah, for me, what really struck me as I watched this was how our family would drive to Sioux Falls, Sioux Falls, South Dakota from Portland, Oregon, probably every other
That's where
summer.
You sprayed yourself with mace.
Yeah, and I maced myself.
Is that what they're calling it these days?
Yes, that's what they call it.
Yeah. I maced myself. But no, yeah. So there's as I watched this, there's a lot of similarities and things I could totally relate to that I'm like, that hit home.
Some of them you should not be relating to
No.
at all.
No, but no, just some of the road trip scenes and the the backseat of the car and the sleeping and the just monotonous stretches of freeway between going across South Dakota.
Well, you both said you haven't seen it in 20 plus years or seen it unedited or whatever. So how was the rewatch?
The rewatch was fantastic, but there were certain parts of it you're like, oh, that didn't age well. That did not age well. Yes.
No. Yeah. No, that's
so. Yeah, there's definitely some, and there's just some questionable behavior in general. For the way the movie I think is framed as like a family type movie.
Yeah.
Some interesting situations going on.
Yeah.
If that's supposed to be the family style movie. So, well, and how was your rewatch?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I watched it 3 times.
Did the wife watch it with you too?
She watched it the first time with me, and then we rewatched it again this morning, and
okay,
just to get another. And we were laughing.
Did she help
harder
with
the
your
third
notes?
time. No, she's good. She's very. She's got in a positive way. She's got a critical eye, and so she was asking questions. So she would be like, "Well, why did they do that?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a good question. I don't know why they did that." So
first of all, there's no question.
There's no no good answer. There's
no
not
good answer. There's no good questions.
Because she was one of the things I remember. She said, "Well, why did she have her credit card in her her makeup bag?
Well, it's got to go somewhere.
And I was like, I don't know.
Well, hopefully maybe we'll try to answer that.
I don't know.
Maybe you can delve into the mind of Beverly
right alongside her diaphragm,
Ellen Griswold, which is unimportant.
That's right.
So, well, I thought the rewatch was great too.
Clark, that was the only thing that was irreplaceable.
Gotcha. Yes, but I thought the rewatch was great too. I laughed as normal and noted a couple things extra that I hadn't noted before. When I was watching with, I'd say, a critical eye.
Yeah. No.
So, all right. Well, let's load up the Family Truckster, hit the road, and ultimately hate each other as we revisit the 80s classic National Lampoon's Vacation. So for those of you that follow us regularly, you know we normally compile lists, but for our movie episodes, we discuss categories and have some fun revisiting the movie overall instead. But before we look at the Griswolds, first, we've decided, since Kurt's apparently going to hang around the studio now and chip in from time to time on some of these things, he needs to actually pull his own weight and do some work. So before we jump into the movie, we're going to have the information brought to us by the one and only Kurt.
All right, thank you. So National Lampoon's Vacation was released July 29th, 1983. So as we mentioned before, that was 40 years ago. It was written by John Hughes and directed by Harold Ramis. It was based on a short story John Hughes wrote for the National Lampoon's magazine, and that was called Vacation 58, about a family vacation. It stars Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Anthony Michael Hall, Randy Quaid, John Candy, Christy Brinkley, and a host of others. It had a budget of $15 million and made $61.4 million. It had a critic score on Rotten Tomatoes of 93% and an audience score of 85%, so it seems like everybody loved it. It has spawned 5 sequels, and in 2000 was voted the 46th greatest comedy film of all time. So, Rob, do you think, or do your thing and tell us what the heck this movie is about?
What this movie's about. We give you a chance to do something a little
I'm an
extra.
educator. I never learned to read.
I know. I got that. Here, let's rewind. Say that sentence again.
So, Rob, do your thing and tell us what the heck this movie is about.
Perfect segue.
Nailed it.
All right, having it all planned down to the last detail, well-meaning American paterfamilias.
Well said.
You can't
I'm an
talk today
educator as
either.
well.
Perfect.
We went through public school. Well-meaning American
private school.
paterfamilias Clark Griswold and his supportive wife Ellen take their 2 teenagers, Rusty and Audrey, on a cross-country trip from the suburbs of Chicago all the way to sunny California's Wally World amusement park in the Wagon Queen Family Truckster. However, anything that could go wrong does, and before long, Ellen's cousin Catherine and her husband Eddie enter the picture, and Clark is on the verge of blowing a gasket. Roy Wally's wonderful park seems farther and farther away, and although the prospect of a clandestine meeting with the alluring blonde in the fast 1981 Ferrari 308 GTSI sounds tempting, Clark must do the right thing and find the promised land. How hard can it be to have the perfect vacation?
I don't know how hard. As hard as it was for you to start talking when you did that, it's like your first podcast today.
I've been drinking.
Not again.
You said that before.
I know. I have a problem.
Well, now we know what the movie's about. We've gotten some cool details about it, even if it took 2 takes.
That's right.
So before we jump into our categories, let's just discuss a little bit about the movie. So as Rob said, basically this is a family trip going from Illinois to California to go to Wally World, which is an amusement park. Mm-hmm. And along the way, a lot of extra things happen.
Yes.
Is pretty much what goes down. So I will start with, I like the opening of the movie. I was watching it, and I like these postcards that everybody's my favorite couple, where there was one, it said, having a wonderful time, but my ass is tired. And it had the donkey on there. Mm-hmm. But I did see 2, since we are Washingtonians, there were 2 Washington postcards.
I saw them as well.
One just said back road in scenic Washington, and it just had like a road of farms or something.
I paused it to see if I could.
No.
But
couldn't figure it out.
It could be anywhere.
And then there was another one that said Hat and Boots Gas, Seattle, Washington.
Did you do any research on that?
I did. It's actually in a little town near Seattle called Georgetown.
Okay.
I'll let you take it from there.
I don't know.
Because you seem excited. Oh,
no, I didn't. I was going to, and I didn't.
You perked up. Yeah. It's just that big hat and a boot.
Okay.
And it's there, and you can visit it. So,
because when I think Seattle, I think hats and boots.
Hats and boots.
Hats and boots.
Yeah, maybe when it's raining. But they're more cowboyish.
Yeah, there's like cowboy
which
boots.
was odd, I guess.
And it's still there?
It's still there.
It's still there?
Yeah, I looked it up. So still alive. In fact, I looked at it yesterday, and it said park was open.
Oh, wow.
So maybe we'll take a trip to the Hat and Boot, and we'll get a photo, and it could go up on our website, and people can see that we visit the monuments and important places from the pod.
We really get into our research.
We do. I mean, you didn't, because you said you didn't look it up.
No,
all right.
I didn't want to.
So, okay. Well, so once we break the opening, basically the first scene is Clark's going to pick up a brand new car.
Brand new car.
Right. And he had ordered a particular station wagon. Mm-hmm. I think it was the Sportsman's Blue package or something like that.
The Arctic Blue Super Sports Wagon.
Yes.
So,
with the CB and the optional rally pack.
That is correct.
It was the optional rally fun
pack.
And of course, they run into a young Eugene Levy.
Yeah. Great head of hair.
Great head of hair. Very good. And obviously, he doesn't get the car that he wants, so he gets talked into another vehicle.
Yes, he does.
The metallic P.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's some really subtle, about this movie, there's some really subtle comedic lines that wouldn't, to me, rise to the top of like people's favorite list, but the writing was spectacular.
Wow. Nice.
They where he goes, I'm not your every average day fool.
Yeah.
And it's the way he says that, I'm like, Okay.
Well,
Right,
I like
he's not
Eugene-
denouncing that he isn't the fool, but he's just not your
not
average
the
fool.
average
Yeah.
everyday fool. I like when he calls the maintenance guy over. Hey, where's their blue car? I don't know.
I don't know.
And then he turns around and walks away.
Yeah.
He goes, he doesn't know.
Well, he goes, you think you hate the car now? Just wait till you drive it. And I was like, well played. I just find that so funny.
Well, so he ends up with what is I would say, a pretty iconic, famous 80s movie car now, the Family Truckster. Anybody from the 80s probably knows what the Family Truckster is, that green wood-paneled station wagon. He brings it home. And the airbag was a garbage bag.
I was going to say it was a brown hefty bag.
They didn't even try. It was clearly a...
And how did he put it back? Because later it
goes off again.
In the
get to
movie,
reuse it.
and it comes back out the same plastic bag. So he reloaded it. Does Clark have that kind of?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess he's smart,
He's,
right?
he's, yeah, it seems book smart.
Yeah. So, well, he brings it home, and of course, the kids are like, "That's not really our car, is it?" And the wife doesn't like it. It's still running.
Yeah.
After he
Why
turns
is
it
it
off.
still running? He's like, honey, all new
It's
cars
just
do
new
that.
cars do that. So.
I was waiting for the backfire.
But when you go that night, what I was telling, I noticed this. We watched it yesterday again, obviously for the research, and I noticed they're washing dishes.
Oh, this is
And
awesome.
Ellen, Beverly D'Angelo, she pushes off the whatever's left on the dish in a bowl, hands it to Clark. Now the dishwasher's open, but Clark just wipes it quick with a towel and puts it back in the cupboard.
And I read that is Chevy Chase's favorite scene.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he says he said a lot of people miss it,
So
and I missed it the first two times.
So did I.
And then I was reading
So
reading
they are
online,
definitely putting dirty dishes back into the cabinet.
and I watched it. and I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. That was just so good. Whoever thought of that, or if that was him, or just his comedic style, I thought was. Really
And then
good.
also in the house, he's got this computer, which by the
it's
way, in
great.
1983, I mean, it looks pretty ghetto now, but in 1983, that would have been like prime time.
He was in the food preservative industry.
Additive. Yes, that is correct.
He knows additives and preservatives.
But he comes out and hooks that computer up to that TV, and he does the Family Truckster. And then
what did he say?
somehow,
Hey kids, you want to see the triptych?
Yeah. And then somehow
The triptych.
Rusty hacks into it, starts playing Pac-Man behind his car.
Rusty,
and then
don't
Audrey,
eat the truckster.
Yeah.
And then Audrey's playing Space Invaders.
Nice shot, Audrey.
Nice shot out. Yeah.
So, so
Real nice, Audrey.
yeah, real nice, Audrey. So,
I did like the video game system as well.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
nice. The
That was
Bally
nice.
Astrocade.
yes, it was good.
When it came out, it cost $300
In 1983
in
or whatever.
1983.
Yeah,
That's almost $1,500 of today's money.
easy. Yeah.
So I do have a question. So
Yeah.
right before they take off, so the next morning they're getting ready to take off, right? They go to the garage. There's two cars in the garage. They have the Family Truckster, and they have a very nice, like new looking Volvo.
yeah.
Why don't you just take the Volvo on the trip? It's such a better car.
Yeah.
It gets better gas mileage. It's one of the safest cars you can drive.
That's Clark's car. He doesn't want to ruin it.
And like he said, a good point out was he was picking up that station wagon for Ellen. So the Volvo's his car, and they're not trying to take that across country.
And the one he traded in was decent. Like
Yeah.
it was in good shape.
Yeah.
So.
Which is why I'm still not sure why they crushed it immediately. It
Why
made
wouldn't
no
they
sense. You take
resold it.
Yeah, you take a trade in to resell things, not
Yeah.
to make a scrap
They
pile.
crushed it in like a minute flat. I don't
Without
know what
signing
was
any
going on.
paperwork.
No, he didn't sign anything. He just crushed it.
Also, the other thing I can really relate to is as they're getting into the car, Ellen is she's locking up the house and she's rattling off all the things that
Well, she's
she's
talking
done.
to those neighbors, right?
Yeah, she's feed the cat and call the cops blah, 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 and she's setting all the that is every trip when we leave on our trailer and then she even says, I think I forgot something.
Yeah.
Every time we'll get 20 miles down the road and Paula will say, I think I forgot something. I mean, and then just the rest of the day it just bugs her that she thinks she forgot something. But all the laundry list of things you have to do to leave the house for for 2 weeks, and I was like, nope, we've been there, we've seen it. Yeah, Paula noticed the baggage on the top of the car.
Yeah.
That was, she goes, I saw that before.
So that, and they pull out of the garage, it falls off the top of the car.
Yep.
Just idiots.
The luggage they have takes a beating and keeps on ticking though.
Oh,
in
that's
this movie.
good laundry
good.
or
Must be-
good luggage.
It's got to be
Yeah.
slippy
Slippy
Samsonite? Samsonite.
Knew it started with an S though.
And it had something right there.
That's it.
So, well, anything else about before they take off on their trip?
No, I got you talked about the computer.
Yeah.
His phrase of there's the dialogue between Clark and Ellen about why they're not just flying.
Yeah.
And his great line is like, getting there's half the fun, honey.
there's half the
You know?
fun.
You spend all day with the kids, and I get like 30 minutes. I want to spend
30
time with them.
minutes.
So there's some foreshadowing there. That's
So,
good.
well, they hit the road. You get the terrible scenario where Clark always has to sing.
The
can
Mockingbird
we
rendition is awesome.
Can we just turn the radio on?
I know we're Dumb and Dumber
on.
stole that one now.
So,
I was gonna say,
But being a
is there a
soundtrack-
better rendition?
So-
and I was like,
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber had to have taken from that, right? They had to have been inspired by that.
but being a soundtrack guy, they started with Holiday Road,
Yeah,
and then the kids put their headphones on. They go into the Ramones.
the Ramones. Yeah,
So I was going to ask Rob. You know, he's a big soundtrack guy. How did you like the music in
I
this
did.
movie?
I thought it was good.
So they queued up some good ones, right? So, so they start heading down the road. I don't think Clark's a good driver. The more I watch him, right? So he falls asleep. He's doing a lot of other things. He's clearly easily distracted because when Christy Brinkley's driving around.
Oh yeah.
But what I did find odd is one of the nights while they're driving, he basically asks Ellen to give him a blowjob while he's driving.
It could have been a handy. You don't know.
The kids are literally 4 feet from him in the back seat, and then of course they end up right on the seat, like looking down, like, "Hey, what are you doing down there, Mom?" You know?
Well, her head getting stuck.
I
in
love
the
the way
wheel
she
is
always
so
goes,
funny.
"Hey, kids."
Well, and she goes, you know, you get crazy when you get tired. Or something. So he's just, do you want to put your head in my lap? That's not what I mean.
Just a rest.
Yeah.
And then he gets the steering wheel stuck or whatever, right?
Yeah, it got stuck accidentally.
I gotta say, I watched this movie, and I think the pitch of this movie is supposed to be that Clark Griswold is kind of this everyman's dad, like he really loves his family, and I honestly don't think that's true. The more I watch it, I think he's kind of an ass, and I think he's actually not that great of a person. He's constantly looking for girls. He's close to willingly wanting to cheat on Beverly D'Angelo. He's constantly soliciting her for, you know, whether the kids are near or not. He's not very nice to everybody they run into. I don't know. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he's a nice guy, because it looks like and the way Rusty always kind of shakes off his jokes about jumping in the pool with the naked girl and all that. I think he's been cheating on Ellen before, because Rusty's like, "Oh, what'd you do this time, Dad?"
I actually wrote that in my notes. I was like, this doesn't seem like the first time he's tried this sort of thing.
I feel like
Just based off Ellen's face when she looks down at him.
And before he even picks up Christy Brinkley, he solicits 2 other girls in the bar. So it's not like it's an isolated incident. He's looking for a girl at this point.
Yeah.
So, and just bold-faced lies after that. "Oh, you know, I just go out with this fake family to check on my motels and blah blah blah." And so I don't know if Clark's a good dad after all.
When she goes,
it's a shadow of it.
I figured you were going to say you were working for the FBI.
CIA.
Or CIA. And he goes,
Oh, that old bit?
Oh, that old bit. You know? So you know he's had that one in the chamber
Well, no,
before.
and then he goes, "I would never say, I don't work for them anymore," you know. So.
It's just his hotels and his airline. Does he have an airline?
Oh, that's
too?
right. Yeah. And these are his brother's kids. It's his brother's family.
Let's take it to, there's 2 scenes I would talk about the most going on this. We'll start in East St. Louis.
Oh.
So he gets
When they're crossing
off
the
freeway.
deep river.
By the way, a couple of those songs he's singing
The
are
old
not.
man.
A couple of those songs are not good that he's singing.
No.
Like
This whole part of the movie is the questionable
So-
section.
And actually, I read that Harold Ramis said it's the most politically
He is.
incorrect.
Yeah, he wished he
scene.
hadn't done it.
Yeah, because it portrays African Americans as it's an unsafe neighborhood and they're going to steal everything. And so, which is kind of what they portray. But this is an awkward scene. They end up, because, you know, Ellen's like, "I don't want to be here. This isn't," and he goes, "No, you got to see all parts of the world, honey." She goes, "I don't want to see this." And then, you know,
gunshot goes off.
Gunshots, roll 'em up.
Roll 'em up.
Roll them up. So, but so what did you think of the East St. Louis scene?
Well, I'm going to tell a story, and as I'm saying it, my wife is cringing.
Nice. These are the good
But
ones.
I don't
These
think
are
it's
the
an
good
inappropriate story, and I will hold to that it's not. I relate to the scene when a couple years ago we went to a wedding down in Long Beach, California. We're looking for a place to see some music. Somebody says, "Oh, you should go to this place and this place," and we tell these people, we say, "Oh, we're going to go down to the Seabird, I think it was called," and they go and they kind of laugh at us and they go, "Oh, you're not from around here, are you?" And we said, "No, we're not. We're actually out of state." And he goes, "Oh, okay," and they laugh and they walk off. Well, we go down to the Seabird and we're checking in, we're paying our money, and everybody ahead of us is getting bracelets. And we get to the guy, and we pay our money, and we hold our hands out to get bracelets, and he goes, "That's cool. I'll remember y'all."
Oh, good.
And I go, "Oh, that's cool." So we walk into the Seabird, and here we are, the only 3 white people
Oh, nice.
in the Seabird, and
Great
music.
Yeah.
But I was like, just the way he looked at us, he goes,
Did you walk
"I'll
up?
remember y'all."
Did you walk up to any of the patrons and say, "Do you all know the Commodores?"
No, I put that in my
That's
notes.
terrible.
Maybe they know the
Rusty.
Commodore.
Because
Come
Rusty was asking that question for no apparent reason.
No, that's awful. So awful.
Yeah.
Do you think these guys know the Commodores?
Yeah, so they rolled through East St. Louis. Then you have the the event where they end up at the hotel because Clark falls asleep and magically drives into a hotel.
Can we go back?
Yes, we can go back.
So go back.
Yeah,
They're
bro.
talking. The gentleman says, "F your mama."
Yeah,
And he
good
says,
one.
"Thank you so much," and he gets in. But then
F your mama.
the other part that I thought was that he rolls around the corner. He goes to talk to this other group, and he starts by saying, "Hey, we're from out of town." The guy says, "No shit." I just thought it's so subtle. Clearly out of town.
That car is already out of
But
town.
he goes, "Hey, we're
Are
not from
those
around here."
hubcaps? They still really going to be worth anything?
I don't know.
know.
But the other thing, there's a scene I'd seen it somewhere else, but that guy, there's a guy when he's talking to the guy at the window, the guy in the background, check it. It looks like he's on a cell phone.
No.
He's got something up to
It's
his ear.
1983.
I know. Watch it again and
There's
just
no
tell me,
cell
what would
phone.
he have up at watch?
I don't
Just
know,
go
but
back
it's
and
not
watch
a
it.
cell phone.
I don't know.
All right.
He looks like he's got a cell
Yeah,
phone.
well,
in
you're
it.
just
I know.
making something
And
up.
you'll find all kinds of stuff on the
There's
internet
no
about.
cell phone.
Anyway,
So-
what do we got? We're not from out of town. Yeah, no shit. And then
Yeah.
the Commodores. And then,
Oh, yeah. So, well, then that takes us to the next, I would say, great scene, if that's what you want to call it. So that we're going to go visit Cousin Eddie on his farm, right?
Well, they go to the hotel.
They go to the hotel, yeah.
And one of the parts that I like, and that is when the husband and the wife, they're going to get it on. And,
Oh, yeah.
and the bed
The
breaks.
magic
breaks.
fingers bed.
And they move to the floor.
Yeah.
And I was laughing because the scene where the kids bust in
Yeah.
and he basically says, "What kids
Don't you knock anymore?
Don't you knock
Don't you knock
anymore?" And
anymore,
then
yeah.
he comes up pointing his finger and he's got the bra or
I know.
panties hanging
Yeah.
from his.
Yep.
She snaps him back.
But then, real subtly, they go, "Where's mom?"
Where's Mom?
Or
I
no,
know.
they go, "We thought somebody was fighting." in
And then they said, "Where's
and
Mom?"
he goes, "There's nobody fighting in here."
Fight here.
And then he goes, "Where's mom?" And he gets ready to point like she's somewhere else. And then she goes, "Down here, kids."
I know she goes, "I'm down here, kids."
And then he
underneath the
subtly
blanket.
pulls his thumb back in and like he's plays it off. But
He knows they're caught.
my favorite line in that is as they were walking out, he goes, "The bed was very soft."
It was very we slept on the floor.
Weirdo-rama is what she says. But yeah, the way he says
Yeah, the kids act like they don't actually know what's going on. With
Yeah,
them.
and they're 14-ish.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
Anthony Michael's 14. I'm going to guess she's a year or so younger. So she's 13. They can't be that oblivious.
I
right?
read that in the short story that this was based off, he's supposed to be 12.
Okay.
But
Yeah, maybe they're innocent.
But later in the movie, he talks about, "I've only been a man a couple days." So then I'm like, that I don't. Anyway.
Yeah, you
And I
never
believe
know.
in the short story and the movie, they actually flip-flop the
Flipped.
kids.
She was older.
Because he was so much taller. They're
That's
like,
right.
oh, we're going to make him
Make him the
older one.
The older
Yeah,
one.
the bed was very soft. for us.
Soft.
That's right.
So, well, now we get to Cousin Eddie's farm.
No, they went to Dodge City
They went to
first.
Dodge
Well,
City.
yeah. Dodge City's, it's okay. There's not that much going on in
My
Dodge
favorite
City,
line in
so-
that though is when he's getting after the bartender. The bartender shoots him,
Yeah, I
fake
know.
shoots him, and he pops back up. But where she goes, "Are you happy now? She's deaf." And he basically was like, "Yeah, well, that's okay."
Yeah, it's okay.
Like.
Back to more of Clark not actually being a good father.
Because it reminds me of
so.
when he was in Christmas Vacation, where he's like,
Her eyes froze shut.
She
Yeah,
can't
she'll see it
feel
later.
her legs.
She'll see it later.
That's okay.
Yeah. She's numb from the waist down, Clark.
Yeah, he just goes,
So-
it was fun.
Yeah. So, all right. Well,
I will say then,
Yeah.
following that, right after Dodge City, there's some other things in there that I related to. So they're reading the map, they're arguing in the back seat. I'm like, that's
every
family
family trip.
That was
right
the
there.
family
The
trip.
trying to fold the map.
Trying
Nobody
to
has ever
fold,
been able to
Right?
fold
Where
the map.
everything was great, we're fine. And then you get in the middle of Nebraska or whatever, and
Yeah.
everybody's hating each other, and you're hot, and there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
AC, and now the parents are kind of starting to bicker.
You're saying the
That's what
truckster
happens.
doesn't have AC?
Come on.
The
now.
truckster had to have.
I
We
don't
had a
think it
1981 Ford Fairmont, no AC, AM radio,
Yeah.
windows only rolled halfway down in the back. It was, yeah. So I relate a little bit.
Well, we get to Cousin Eddie's farm
in Kansas.
And this obviously becomes a little weird. There's a lot of weird things here. So we'll save some of these for quotes. We can't go shot for shot here because we got some of our categories. But what I will say is a couple things that I find interesting now that I'm older. When they say the French kiss line, she says, "But my dad says I'm best at it." Do we feel like that's a little too casual with the, father, daughter, whatever assault thing you want to call that, or I don't know what it is, but I feel like that's just too easy of a throwaway joke for something like that, right?
My favorite is just the pause of silence after she says it, and they just see the two faces as they're going up and down on the teeter totter.
It was well timed.
It was super awkward,
really good timing.
Yeah,
and they let the awkwardness sit
because I think even as the viewer, you do the same thing. It takes you a minute to go.
Yeah, even
what?
But even in '83, is that funny? Like, are you laughing?
I don't know.
It feels grimy the whole time you hear it, right? So, but then
it fits the narrative of that family.
It does. But then also that cousin, when he talks to him about bopping his baloney, he says, "A guy showed me how to do it last year.
A guy showed me this cool thing last year."
What guy is what are we talking about here?
That's awful.
The first few times when I was little,
that's
one of those things I was like, oh my God, what did he just say? I had to pause it and go,
a guy showed me. So
he's working out his wrists with
from his dialogue, are we led to believe that he possibly was showing Rusty after that while Rusty's on the farm visit?
Maybe that's why Rusty a few days later is a man.
Yeah, there you go. He's a man now.
He's only been a man for a few days.
Couple of days.
Wow. A couple of days. And it was right after they left the cousin's house.
After they left the cousin's house.
That's funny.
So,
I didn't. That's good.
He knows how to use a magazine now.
And of course,
the thing that I could relate to that movie is you've been on the road for days. You finally get to your relative's house. That scene of them meeting in the front yard. That was was us going to Edgemont, South Dakota, and we'd been driving for days. We finally get to the house, and then you have to. It's weird to meet your cousins because you only see them once every couple years.
Then you got to go play with their worm farm.
But the story I was going to tell is, we went to Edgemont, South Dakota. It was at high school, so and we were old enough to go, just go free. The aunts, uncles all said, just go hang out with your cousins. Well, one of the cousins could drive now, so we went to a party out in the back of some barn.
Nice.
Edgemont, South Dakota's out in the middle of nowhere.
Did they remember y'all there too?
Well, so I'm with my cousin, a female, and these two girls ride up on horses. It was a fairly attractive girl. And the first phrase out of my mouth is, "I like your horsey."
Oh, nice. I mean, that's solid.
It wasn't "Save a horse, ride a cowboy."
No, it was "I like your horsey."
That would have been good.
That sounds right.
That would have been a trip back in time because that song wasn't out yet. We'd have been inventing the ride a cowboy.
That whole juxtaposition of the city kid and the farm, and I was like,
horsey.
Yeah, I like your horsey.
So once they leave the farm, they inherit Aunt Edna. And I like this rest stop scenario where
my gosh.
he sees Christy Brinkley again, and he starts dancing with the sandwich, which, by the way, is my wife's favorite thing in the whole movie.
It's totally improv. I read that
totally
was.
But what I find interesting is if you look at, because I paused and looked at it, Christy Brinkley is drinking a Lowenbrau beer in the parking lot next to the Ferrari while he's dancing around with the sandwich.
Yeah.
So she's just drinking a beer at the rest stop.
Well, I like how she's just dancing around and the truckers are just standing there staring at her.
And there's a trucker in the driver's seat.
Yeah. He's sitting in the car.
Of the Ferrari. Yeah. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah,
she just likes to meet new people.
She does. She's very friendly.
I don't know.
So, and then, of course, you've got the dog on the sandwich.
Yeah.
I did notice when they stay overnight, it was on top of his car the whole time, but they're going to those cabins at the thing, and he's carrying golf clubs. Why does he have golf clubs? Why did he even bring golf clubs on this trip in the first place?
I'm sure he had a tea time set up in California when he got there.
Well, and that would fit your narrative of his agenda, right?
Yeah.
He's going to find time to golf.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And why is he bringing him into the campsite? Like, is he golfing there? There's no golf next to the river right there. So I just thought it was odd he had golf clubs.
That's funny.
It didn't make a lot of sense.
No, that whole interaction at the campground, another really subtle one. I don't know why I find it funny, is when he goes, they dicker about the price, and then he goes, "Well, they're very nice tents.
They're very nice.
they're very
tents.
nice.
And they include
the ambiance.
scenery and wildlife fun."
Fun.
And then later,
Do you need my address? Yes, we like to send out mailers.
"What do you need my address for?" And he says, "We like to send out a mailer." And just his
The
delivery
accent,
of that, I'm like, it smacks to me of like that was not scripted.
No.
Like that was his just immediate, you know,
first thing he thought of.
he was, Chevy Chase was trying to catch Murray off guard, and that was his like comedic answer. It was just like I chuckle at it every time.
Oh yeah.
I just found it interesting how when they first meet Edna, she's walking out of the house with a walker,
And then
and then she's like traipsing up a hill to get to the car.
Easily.
Yeah.
Well,
Edna's
but every
awesome.
time she's walking after that, Rusty always has her by the arm. Why does he have to drag her around? I don't understand what's
my
going
wife
on.
was laughing at when they're loading up. Yeah, you're tearing my flesh. Just the way she yelled it. It was like, you're tearing my flesh.
So
I will have to tell you another story. I
man.
like the scene in the tent where Clark's trying to get frisky with old Ellen,
And she
she's
can
like,
hardly breathe.
she's like, there's not enough room.
Yeah.
And in this one man sleeping bag or whatever. And for our wedding, my dad got us 2 sleeping bags.
Yeah.
Ooh la la.
And
Ooh la la.
he made it a point.
Oh my goodness.
My mom's gonna love this. He made it a point to point out that you can put these sleeping bags together
Yes.
and make one sleeping bag, so that we could make whoopee.
Yes.
And have you ever done it?
Did they use the word whoopee?
I don't know if we've
Well, you
ever
have 3
put-
kids. I know the whoopee part.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Have you ever put the sleeping
Well,
bags together?
we've done it 3 times
There you go.
that I know of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That you were there for.
Yeah, that I was there.
No
for.
immaculate conception in any of those.
It's possible. I don't know.
All right.
Your
Well,
kids are
so-
angels.
So we still tell that story.
Moving this along because we can't go for everything
Yes, we
here.
can.
We can try.
It's worth it.
Let's go ahead and jump to the dog scene.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
So he ties this dog to the back of the bumper, which, by the way, he was not latched to the back of that bumper. If you watch the scene,
It almost
the
comes
leash
off.
comes completely
Yeah.
off almost, but we'll let that be what it is. So he obviously drags the dog to death, and the cop stops them, and he apologizes or whatever. But I read something interesting that that scene was based on, the crew actually saw a dog tied to a bumper in Colorado, and they stopped the driver before he took off. So they actually saved the dog's life. But in the movie, they dragged the dog
One
to
time-
death. But I didn't understand the cop. The cop says, I had a pooch like this when I was a kid. He didn't see that dog. It's just a red smear on the side of the road.
That whole scene, though, is messed
How did
up.
he,
It was-
like, I don't know what that dog looked like. There's no chance you knew what that dog looked
I
like.
read that.
Or was he
that's-
trailing, watching it run?
Yeah.
And he didn't stop them? Like,
Well,
I
and
just wanna
I
see how
didn't
far it
put
goes.
2 and 2 together until I watched it probably the 3rd time, and my wife was like, "Why didn't you notice that?" But when he goes, "Ellen, do you hear that rattling sound?"
Yeah.
Like I did not put together that he was hearing the. I
The
didn't
leash banging
until
on
I
the
watched
ground
it like
back
the
there.
second time,
Yeah.
and I went, "Oh, that's what he's hearing." So,
Yeah, I read that scene, the cop and Chevy Chase,
all
improv.
ad-libbed. Yep.
All improv.
And the part where they're almost crying, it's because they were trying not to laugh
Yeah.
so hard.
And when you watch it again through that lens, it's even funnier.
Yeah,
like
at the very
I
end,
was dying.
when he's walking back towards the car, you can both see him almost lose it and start
Yeah.
laughing.
Well, like when the cop would look off into the distance, and then Chevy Chase would look off into the distance, like trying to just he's keeping it together, and that little kept up for a
subtle.
mile, kept up for
Mile
a
or
mile,
so.
a
or,
mile
two.
or two, and then his legs just gave out.
Tough little dog, tough
Well,
little mutt.
Well, a couple other facts I want to jump up before we jump into our categories, and we could talk more about the movie and the categories. Wally World was at Magic Mountain in California.
Yeah.
That's where it was filmed. The original story actually was about Disneyland,
Yeah.
but to avoid legal troubles, they changed it. And Roy Wally actually looks exactly like Walt Disney if you look at
Oh yeah,
pictures.
they did a nice job.
So the Family Truckster was created for this film. That is not a car that exists. It's based on a 1983 Ford LTD County Squire.
And to go back, I think Walt Disney's brother's name was Roy Disney.
Yes, it
It
is.
was Red
Yeah,
Disney,
so
yeah.
that was-
So they tied all that together. So, fun fact, may not be related, just a fact that happened. Shortly after the movie was released, station wagon sales plummeted.
I did hear that.
Replaced by minivans shortly after that. So I don't know if people watched this and decided station wagons don't look cool anymore, but that was it. So the original ending had Clark driving to Roy Wally's house and shooting him in the leg,
Yeah.
forcing him to sing and dance at gunpoint. But audiences hated the pre-screening.
So they just saved that for
They
Christmas
changed the
vacation.
Christmas vacation. So, and this movie was nominated for 2 Golden Globes. Best Motion Picture in the comedy category and Best Actor for Chevy Chase in the comedy category. Did not win the Golden Globes, but was nominated. So something fun and extra in there. So before we jump into our categories, do you got anything else?
No, just that I think there's some really good stuff that happened in the Arizona scene that were just super great. That will come up later, I think, in some of our scenes.
Can bring it up in your categories.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the Aunt Edna dying will be coming up as well. So that's one of my favorites.
That is one of the favorites. So I just don't know how long she was dead for.
Well,
I know.
it had to have been
She is
point,
asleep
she's
in that
alive
back seat for a long time.
And
well, it
then
had to have been since Flagstaff.
well, and then her clothes are changed at some point. So if she's dead, they changed her clothes, or I don't know what's going on. But
She moves from the outside seat to the middle
to
seat
the
in
middle
between the
seat.
kids.
Yeah, like they're moving her around, so she can't be all the way
they're
dead.
just
yet.
pushing her.
So I will say one last subtle funny thing is when he jumps the car off the broken road
This is
and it lands. Rusty goes, "Hey, Dad, you must have cleared like 50 feet on that jump." And he goes, "It's nothing to be proud of, Russ." But then he
goes,
smiles,
50
this little smirk,
yards.
50 yards.
50 yards. And then he chuckles. That's one of my
That
favorites.
is where Clark, again, is such a terrible person because a terrible scenario has happened and he's thinking about, I did jump that 50 yards.
Yeah.
So he's really, really excited about it. So
Well, and then when Aunt Edna dies, one of my favorite things he says, he talks about, I don't want to get caught up in a funeral and an inquest and, all that stuff. So, yeah, he's more concerned because we could still have 3 days.
3 days.
At Wally World. So
We're only going to have 3 days.
Back to Dave's narrative about him being a
being
jerk.
A jerk. And he's not a good dad, but
Yeah.
we're going to pretend that he is a good dad. When we do National Christmas Vacation at some point, we can talk about how he's not a good dad. Either. So it's multiple times. So, let's go ahead and jump into our categories. So we've got 10 different categories, and we'll start with our first one, which is usually the easiest one, but I'm sure Rob will find a way to make it as interesting as possible. So we'll start with Kurt and ask you, who is your favorite character in this movie?
I went with Ellen Griswold.
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Yes, because she has to put up with that husband.
Yeah, she's keeping it together really well.
And there might be a little bit because she is quite an attractive lady as well.
Yeah, she is.
Yep.
For 80s,
We do get an Ellen boob shot in this movie.
several boob shots.
Yep, multiple when she's
Couple.
jumping in the pool.
And she's she's got good boobs.
I also like the part where she just puts Aunt Edna in her place and just
Oh, yeah.
threatens to
Just
split her
threatens
lip.
Get out of that seat and I'll
The only question
split your lip.
only question I have about Ellen is after this is why I think he's been cheating before. After the skinny dipping, he comes upstairs. She forgives him in like 2 seconds.
She apologizes to
him.
him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Like, how did he pull that off?
Yeah,
and
within
immediately
15
she's-
minutes, he's skinny dipping with her.
Yeah, and immediately they're in the pool naked together again, and I'm like, we're all married here. If those were our wives, that situation doesn't go down like that.
I put that in my notes.
So-
I was like, our wives would all be looking for lawyers,
Oh, my
and my
goodness.
wife works for lawyers, so I'd be in trouble.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness!
No.
Yes,
My
So-
favorite line in that was when he comes up and he goes, she goes, "Is that what you want?" And he goes, No.
No,
She's
no.
ugly.
Yeah.
She's ugly.
And the way he said it, I was laughing, and my wife goes, "That sounds like something you would say."
So,
I was like,
well,
no.
Ellen, very good. You got anything else on Ellen?
Nope, that's what I got for Ellen.
All right. I hesitantly shift towards Rob to say, Rob, what is your favorite character in this movie?
I went with Clark Griswold.
Oh wow,
Ooh.
Yeah, I did.
the terrible person in the movie.
And here's
All right.
why. And
Oh,
we can
please tell me.
We can make an argument that he's an absolute jerk.
Yes,
But I found this great list on doofusdad.com,
That
which
sounds
is a
like
real
that sounds
thing,
like something you're
right?
got bookmarked.
Yeah, but it says top 8 reasons why Clark Griswold is the quintessential doofus dad, and talks about his enthusiasm, his flirtation with a pretty woman, which he talks about how the tendency is counteracted by the fact that most of us are far too awkward and unskilled to do anything about it. If we did, we'd be so racked with guilt that we would never carry it through. They talk about his fantasies. He's got his good intentions. He does have good intentions. He wants to get his family on this trip. His tendency to view himself as cool, his pride in his work, his need to make everything perfect. But then the quote that I liked is his love of his family. He says, "This is what makes Clark the quintessential doofus dad. We all love our families and they love us, regardless of the fact that all humans are essentially train wrecks. No matter how perfect we appear on social media, when Audrey tries to console Clark during the Christmas light debacle later in a different movie.
movie.
Yes. the little moment, it perfectly encapsulates the experience of being a doofus dad. We try our best. We occasionally screw up, and our families love us anyway.
No,
And
there's
I
a
think,
difference between a doofus dad and Clark. If Clark doesn't get caught at the hotel, he's going to have sex with Christy Brinkley, and then he'll just apologize to Ellen later. I mean, he's not a good dad. I don't care, doofus or otherwise, bad dad. So
I don't know.
Well,
I
but
think
at
I just
least
relate to him because I don't know that I get it right all the time as a dad or
but
as a husband, and
but
I
him
don't know
not
that I would
getting
go
it-
that far.
No,
you know,
I would hope not.
But the story I always tell about my own dad. I remember one time my dad going, I would never cheat on your mother. When would I have time to cheat on your mother? And we're like,
You wouldn't have time.
so it's not that you wouldn't. You just
don't have the
you
time.
just don't have the time, right?
don't have the opportunity.
And I know that's not what my dad meant, but I think
got you.
You know,
Well, my favorite is Rusty. I love Rusty. I think Rusty's keeping a lot of this together. He's always there to talk Dad down when he's got certain problems going on. He's got some quick one-liners. He's kind of dealing with Audrey at the same time. So for me, it's Rusty. Rusty's a lot of fun. He's like I said, he seems to be like a calming voice sometimes, and he doesn't take any of Clark's dumb nonsense. He'll say something.
Right.
Somebody goes, like swimming in a pool naked with a random girl, So
how do you think mom's going to take
He's
that?
like, Russ, how are you? What are you doing up? You woke up the hotel screaming, Dad. So but yeah. So
Yeah,
that takes us to category 2, favorite supporting character. So this is someone who doesn't have maybe as much screen time, but had an impact on you. So, Rob, we'll let you go first.
No, that's a good segue because I went with Rusty as my supportive.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
He's in every scene. That's not really supportive.
But originally the script we talked about is a short story called Vacation 58. It was written from Rusty's perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to change it, before the movie.
But
I also, a lot of things you said, he's so supportive. I said, despite Clark's buffoonery, Rusty sees his dad as a hero. For example, at the bar in Dodge City, he's telling those stupid jokes and he's laughing. He's like, "Hey, lizard lips or
there you
whatever."
go.
And Rusty's just sitting there laughing. He's just laughing at all of his jokes.
Oh, yeah.
And then like when he gets the shoes from Uncle Eddie, and you hear Russ in the back going, "Dad, those are great." So he's just and he defends him sometimes. Like when they got lost in Arizona, Audrey's giving Dad a rash of crap, and he goes, "Shut up, Aubrey! Don't you think Dad knows where he's going?" So he looks at his dad as this hero, despite and I think Rusty knows he's a complete moron. Yeah, but he supports him.
Rob, we have a category next called favorite quote, and you just go on a rampage stealing people's quotes. You could describe Rusty without stealing all the quotes. You know what this looks like, and for some reason, no, you're done talking.
No, and when
take away more
when he
things.
goes through Aunt Edna's purse, he just does it. Dad just gives him the head nod, like, "Go ahead, Russ," and he does it. He does it. He's trying to please his dad, and I think that's what all dads want. Is they want to know that their kids think that they're great.
They're great.
Yeah. And
So
Russ does that.
All right, my supporting character is, of course, Cousin Eddie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He served our country.
He did.
Even though he's getting his benefits reduced because his plate is not big enough.
And then he
in his
smashes the beer can against his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it
later
doesn't
on, they have to change it to plastic in
They
the
do.
Christmas Vacation. He's a great dresser. I put
He
him as
is.
a great dresser.
He does have. And he's fit.
He's something.
He is fit.
Or
Clark
Clark
does
goes,
say
"You're
he's
looking
fit.
really
You're looking
fit."
Yes,
He's willing to share. I mean, he gives him the last half of his beer before he opens a new one.
That's right.
Let's see here. He's a great cook, and nobody can toast a bun on a barbecue like
That's
him.
right.
Not like him.
What else do I got here?
What does he say to him? Man?
He was a hard worker till he got laid off at the asbestos factory.
Asbestos factory. Yeah, and now they're taking the farm.
That's right. He makes his own ketchup because nothing but the best.
Nothing but the best, Clark.
And he's going to let Catherine quit one of
her night jobs.
One of her night
when
jobs.
the baby's born.
Yeah.
So he's
I also put he was very thoughtful because he remembered that Clark said he liked his shoes, so he bought him his own pair.
Yeah. One could make the argument that Eddie is a better
No, you cannot.
father.
He's already excluded when he's French kissing his daughter.
Yes,
You are
well,
excluded.
I mean, tomato,
Nope.
tomato.
Nope.
Not tomato,
Nope.
tomato.
You
Those are
turn the tomatoes
opposites.
into ketchup,
Nope.
but you don't kiss your daughter.
Nope, that's it. Yeah, you're done.
All right.
He's out of the conversation.
I guess that's where we
immediately.
draw the
So,
line.
yes, we draw the line.
We got to
at-
draw the line somewhere.
Yes.
Yes, at pedophilia, we draw the line. That's what we've done.
Incestuous pedophilia.
Incestuous pedophilia. So,
Hard
my
line.
favorite supporting character is Lasky, the security guard played by John Candy.
Yeah, I knew you were going to pick him.
He only had a couple minutes, obviously, in this movie, but he's hilarious. He's got a lot of great quotes. they give him the best day he's ever had in his life in the park.
He gets shot in the ass.
He gets shot in the butt. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Lasky's great. I almost had Eugene Levy. I really liked him too as the car salesman, but I'll go with that. So that brings us to.
Well, I read somewhere for Lasky that they paid him $1 million.
Oh wow!
To do that part.
John Candy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's because they had to call him in 3 months after shooting because they had to change the ending.
Yeah, because the ending. The test scenes, people didn't like it, and so they had to bring him in to boost up the.
Well, that segues me to my favorite quote because it involves John Candy. And I like it. It's kind of a little dialogue, but it is what it is. He's talking to Rusty on the roller coaster, and he goes, "Has your father ever killed anyone?" And Rusty says, "So easily, just a dog. Oh, and my Aunt Edna." Then Clark says, "Hey, you can't prove that, Rusty."
Yeah.
So I really like that. It's funny. The way, again, just so easy, Rusty's like, "Just a dog and my Aunt Edna." No, So that's my favorite quote.
Oh, man. Do you have yours queued up?
I got mine ready to go. All right, so it's after they leave Dodge City. They're in the car. And Ellen says, "Clark, let's just skip that house of mud. I think Dodge City was enough for one day. Besides, Catherine and Eddie are expecting us." And then Clark says, "It's living history, Ellen. But if you'd rather see your cousins, it's okay by me. Personally, I would rather see a pile of mud than Eddie."
Yeah.
I would too.
Gosh, a lot of good ones. I think I'm going to go with after they drop off. I'm going to use some profanity after they drop Edna off, and they're in the car, and he does one of his tirades, and he says, she says, "What are you thinking, Clark?" And he says, "I think you're all fucked in the head.
Oh yeah,
we're 10 hours from fucking Fun Park, and you want to bail out? Well, I'll tell you something. This is no longer a vacation. It's a quest. It's a quest for fun. You're going to have fun, and I'm going to have fun. We're all going to have so much fucking fun. We're going to need plastic surgery to remove our goddamn smiles.
Yes.
We'll be whistling zippity-doo-dah out of our assholes. I must be crazy. I'm on a pilgrimage to see a moose. Praise Marty Moose. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
And then the son goes, "Dad, do you want an aspirin?"
Yeah, he always has one of those.
And then what does Clark say? And then he goes, "Don't touch. Don't touch.
Don't touch.
Don't touch." Yes.
I apologize for the profanity.
Yeah, a couple others I saw. We don't have to apologize for profanity, Rob. We're adults. It's okay. A couple others. I like this one. It was subtle, but he just came out of the desert, and she's on the phone, Ellen, and she says, "Well, I'm not sure of his exact height and weight. All I know is the man is a saint with children and a genius with food additives."
See?
So that was a good one.
Yeah.
And then I liked when they had their accident, and Rusty goes, "I think I stabbed my brain." And while you're laughing at that, Audrey goes, "I just got my period."
Yes. Well, and then he goes, "I'm going to check under the hood."
Yeah.
Like that, they just bam, 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 bam.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, I had one after they drop off Aunt Edna, and he does like a quick little eulogy. And he goes, "Oh God, ease our suffering in this, our moment of great despair. Yea, admit this good and decent woman into thine arms and the flock in thine heavenly area up there. And Moab, he laid it down by the band of the Canaanites.
He doesn't even know what he's saying.
And yeah, though the Hindus speak of karma, I implore you, give her a break.
Give her a break.
Barugata, hallelujah." And then Ellen goes, Clark, this is a serious matter. I'll do it myself. And Clark goes, "Honey, I'm not an ordained minister. I'm doing my best, okay?"
That's pretty good.
The other one I liked is after they'd lost all their money, somehow they bought some sandwiches at the gas station, and he goes, "I'm so hungry I could eat a sandwich from a gas station," and he laughs at his own joke, and I'm just like, "That's pretty funny."
I like Rusty and Cousin Dale. Rusty goes, "You got asteroids?" "No, my dad does, and he can hardly sit on the toilet some days."
Well, and early on in the movie, when they went to that first hotel stay where we saw the first boob scene, he does the slasher shower scene, and he pulls the thing back, and he goes, "Could I do your back, honey?" And she goes, "I've already done my back." And he says, "Could I do your front?" And she says, "Go do your own front." But then the best part of that is the look on his face as he pulls the shower curtain closed, like, Well, anyway,
there was one. It's not a great line. It's a line where I was like, "What? Why did he say this?" Oh. They're getting in the truckster in the garage, and one of the neighbors just randomly goes, "Watch out for Indians, Clark."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And I even said that to my wife, and she goes, "Well, they're driving across the plains. Maybe
west?
That's what he meant.
Yeah,
I don't know." But I was like, "That's one of those lines." I was
Didn't
like,
age very well.
No.
Yeah.
On that same kind of like, why did they say that? Is when they were at the Dodge City Saloon, and they get greeted by that Wyatt Earp character, and he goes
in running shoes.
and Rusty goes, "That was a crummy Wyatt Earp, Dad. He was wearing jogging shoes." And Clark's response is, "They used to, Rusty."
Too rusty. Yeah.
What does that even like?
He's
an idiot.
throwing them away so that he doesn't have to explain things. That's all. So, yeah, there's a ton of good quotes in this one.
I don't give a
those
frog's fat ass.
Oh yeah,
I like that one.
So yeah, you could go on for days with those quotes. But well, that takes us to our fourth category: favorite scene or event. I've got the hotel scene. I like the screaming, waking up the whole motel, skinny dipping with Christy Brinkley, and then of course Rusty's sarcasm, where he's like, "What are you doing up, Rusty?" Like I said earlier, and he goes, "You screamed and woke up the hotel, the whole hotel, Dad." So, and then like Audrey's pretending to like smoke weed, and he's like, "Knock it off, Audrey." Doesn't know how to inhale. So, but anyway, so yeah, that's my favorite. The hotel scene's funny from start to finish, even though he's trying to cheat on his wife, but we'll get over that part. So,
I had to. The dog scene is hilarious, but the subtle one that I really like is when he's having the man-to-man talk after they've jumped the car 50 yards, and he's going, "I've spent the last 15 years of my life developing newer and better food additives. I guess I've missed an awful lot. At first, I didn't want to take this vacation, but now I'm glad I did. It's given me a chance to spend a lot more time with you." And Rusty goes, "Audrey?
Audrey?
Yeah, that's it.
That's her."
And then he is going, "Good talk, son." But the thing I really liked about that I just thought was comedic genius was his broken glasses.
Yeah.
Where he pulls them out of it, two pieces out of his coat pocket. He puts them on his face, and then as he's talking, they're falling.
No, they just fall off.
And they just keep going. He doesn't even lose never loses a beat. And I just think it's so good, so funny. But anyway, it's hanging the way it's hanging on his ear. And
oh yeah.
My favorite scene, I think I'm right there with your wife. It's the sandwich dancing. And then my favorite part is where she goes, "Oh my God, the dog wet on the sandwiches." And then Edna looks at it and then just keeps eating.
Keeps eating it.
And my only thought was, she's been eating Eddie's food for a year. That's no problem.
It's no big deal. Little urine, little dog urine won't hurt anything. And what was her dog's name?
You
forgot already?
It was. Oh shoot, I wrote it down.
Dinky.
Dinkus or Dinky.
Dinkus. No, that's your name, Dinkus.
No,
we're telling you the name. It's Dinky.
No, I know that's what he said, but
oh, here we go.
No,
he's got more details.
I wrote it down somewhere.
He's probably got like a whole backstory on the dog. It was a stray they found.
On the sandwich, I liked her. He was like smacking himself in the face, and he's showing her the meat.
What I think
can't smell the dog pee at all.
He thinks that's like sexy and alluring. So I don't know.
She was
an odd choice.
She was getting into it.
She was. She's drinking beer in a parking lot with truckers. So she probably doesn't know what's going on. She's just speeding around in this Ferrari. So
her decision making.
Another scene I really liked is where he's trying to figure out how to fill up the gas tank.
Oh yeah,
and he throws the license plate.
Did you read about that?
That was he accidentally threw it. He just meant to rip it off, not throw it. So his shock when he puts his hands up on his head is completely real, and he's got a little smile on his face. He's like, "Oh crap, what did I do?"
He almost hit that extra next to him. So
again, when he's doing that gas, the way he's got himself wrapped up in the
hose
and he just does that so well. And then when she finds it and goes, "Honey, it's up here," and he goes, "Yeah, I know. Just get back in the car." And I'm like, I've been there where I've trying to figure something out, and I don't want to look stupid. I'm like, I'm just fixing this thing back here, but I totally knew about that. And,
all right, well, this is always the tough one for you here, Rob. Best location in the film, category 5.
It kind of counts as a scene and a location, but I thought for me. There's a lot of good scenes, but this is the one that you're probably going to think is the stupidest one.
I'm sure.
I got to have one. Is the rest stop. That rest stop scene for me.
Yeah.
You could pause that and take a screenshot.
I've done it 100 times.
And we have done that. That is that was our family. My mom had the cooler sitting there. We had the tablecloth. We're sitting at a picnic at a rest stop. I could hear the silverware. My mom always had a little thing of silverware. It's sandwiches. That was our family.
Rob, we all did that in the 80s. We all stopped at the rest stop and ate. You didn't buy food. You bring food with you.
Yeah, no, that
as my dad said, it's cheaper. So,
and then I look at it differently now, going as a 12-year-old kid on the trip. Oh, it's fun. And now, the first time we took our family on a road trip from. Now that I had my own kids and we went back to Sioux Falls, I remember getting back home and almost wanting to call my dad up and going, "I'm so sorry." Like,
No.
I
No.
now I know, and so I see Chevy Chase and he's tired and he's grumpy and he's because he's been on the road.
Yeah,
and
he's so
driving
grumpy. He's
and,
flirting with Christy Brinkley across a parking lot.
So I'm like,
So, again, not paying attention to his family at all during lunch.
Well, and then Rusty's getting eaten by the dog, or chewed on by the dog.
Playing with the dog, Rusty.
Yeah.
So
no, that location for me. Is.
What's your best location?
I went with Dodge City.
Oh, nice.
It seems one of the few times where the family's all getting along, until Audrey, loses her hearing.
That's all good.
But I love the cowboy hat that he buys Rusty.
Yes.
Too small. His head's way too big for that hat.
And the one he buys for himself seems too big. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too big.
He doesn't know what he's doing. So,
but yeah.
Well, I went with the Grand Canyon. It looks good, but what I really like is you drive all that way and then he just like, yep, looks great. Let's get in the car and go.
Well, he just stole money out of a till, so he's got to go.
He put the check in there. It's not really stolen.
My favorite part of that scene, I actually wrote it down, was it's super subtle again, but where he's like, okay, everybody get in the car. And she's like, well, don't you want to see the Grand Canyon? And he puts his hand around, and the little head bob he does, he goes, It's two head bobs in the car, but that little head bob
it's a big hole. We've all seen big holes before. So I've always said that. Laurel's never seen the Grand Canyon, and I've seen it. I've been there because my grandparents lived in Arizona. And I'm like, if you've seen a picture of it, you've kind of seen the Grand Canyon. It's not as exciting as you think it is. So
the only time we went through Arizona, we went to stop, and it was like spring break, so April for us up here, and it snowed out. Couldn't get in.
Nice.
Couldn't get in. It was
couldn't get there.
Snow down there. But.
So it's what you imagine it is. It's a big hole.
Yep.
So category 6, favorite vehicle. I went with the red Ferrari 308 GTSI. Not only is it a great vehicle, but Christy Brinkley's driving it, so it's a 2 for 1.
2 for 1.
Well, and at the time, right, you had Magnum PI, and he was driving that, and I just remember that.
Wasn't that Clark's gun?
Yeah, that wasn't Magnum PI. That's funny. That was a killer car. But I remember, catching. That was the car of the 80s.
Oh yeah, that's
you had
a great car.
Posters of it, and that.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
so that was my vehicle.
Had the good license plate. Love me.
Love me.
Yes.
Great.
Apparently there was truckers loving her.
Truckers. Everybody's loving her.
Yeah.
She's a woman of the people.
That's right.
That's right. So
the other part about when she passes him that one time, and Ellen says, you're going 80 miles an hour. And he goes, oh, it doesn't feel like it.
Doesn't feel like it.
And then she goes, slow down. And then as the little song he sings where he goes, love for sale.
Yeah.
Yummy, yummy love for sale. Just the way he says it, he's so sad. But anyway, I went with the Truckster.
Of course.
So did I.
Okay.
The double Trucksters.
And I purposely put the Wagon Queen Family Truckster, not the Antarctic Super Sports Wagon with the CB optional rally fun pack.
Nice.
It's a damn fine automobile.
I wrote it takes a beat and it keeps on going.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was built on the 1979 Ford LTD. We talked about that. It was actually designed by George Barris. Thought that was cool. Mm-hmm. He did the original Batmobile and the Monsters Mobile. Lots of things about it. It was metallic green, extensive imitation wood paneling decals, 8 headlights.
Yep. Yes.
The second pair was taken from a Crown Vic.
The Crown Vic strikes again.
I thought his vehicle was going to be the tow truck because they couldn't have got to Wally World if they hadn't got towed.
Yeah.
I
tried to find an obscure vehicle. There weren't a whole lot.
It's the Truckster. Yeah. It's the Truckster or the Ferrari. Those are the two main.
I went with the wagon just because we had a wagon.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember it very clearly. It was white, wood paneling, had a Seahawks bumper sticker on the back. So after we sold it, anytime I saw that bumper sticker, I knew that one was ours.
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go. Because they kept it on there.
I remember my dad doing that. Like, we'd see the car and go, oh, that's our old car. Yeah, that's fine. A little fun fact on this. In the opening credits of Married with Children, when the camera pans back from the on-ramp, you can see the family truckster on the ramp. It's the same footage from the movie when the Ramones begin both Married with Children and Vacation are set at least partially in Chicago and is the family's hometown at both shows.
Yeah. Stock footage cost less.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then a new shot.
The 50 feet, there was a bet. Did you hear that? There was a they said you can't, the stunt man, they're like, you can't jump at 50 feet. And he won the bet because he jumped it farther than 50 feet.
Nice. So, category 7, least favorite character. Rob doesn't seem to like this one.
No, this is my choice is dumber.
Mine is probably dumber too, but I went with Cousin Dale. I don't even think Cousin Dale needs to be in this movie. I don't like his half shirts. I don't like his, And he says he's got this stack of nudie magazines. I'm looking at them. They're from like 1950. I don't know.
He
Like, if you
cherishes
see-
them.
He's like,
Collector's items.
collector's items.
Although they've been used.
They've
I
been
use
used
them
a
a lot.
lot.
I use them a lot.
A lot. He's hanging out somewhere with guys learning how to bot baloney. I'm just not a fan of Dale. His slick back hair is not working for me. I don't need Dale in this movie. We can just extract him. At least Jane Krakowski's character, although she's French kissing her dad, she is growing a bunch of weed that she can hand out to people and stuff. Dale serves no purpose in this
He's
movie.
got a worm
He's got
farm.
worms.
I don't care about his worms.
Another
Another
Dumb and Dumber
reference,
thing.
apparently they watched this movie. So, all right, Kurt, least favorite character.
I went with Dinky the dog.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
good. So
Well,
mine's not as dumb.
So they
That's
got
right.
they got rid of your least favorite
That's
character.
right.
So that's good.
All it did was attack
Yeah,
people. It's a dumb dog.
It wasn't a nice dog.
Yeah.
No, we're not advocating for dogs to die here now on our pod, but just in this case, we didn't need to dinky around anymore.
That's true. I
So,
just said it was a real bitch of a dog.
There you
Always
go.
attacking
Real
and biting
bitch
people.
of a dog. Was it a female?
We don't know.
We don't know.
I think it's a play on words, Rob.
Okay.
It was.
So, and what do you got, Rob?
Marty Moose.
Marty Moose.
I
Really?
Yeah.
So
I did.
The jewel of where they're going is your least favorite character?
Yes,
Oh, my
because
gosh.
I am going to say
Here we
something that
go.
is unpopular. Present company.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of the whole Disney thing.
Oh.
I just can't get into it.
All right.
My wife has wanted to go for years, and the idea of standing
love
in line
Disney.
and traveling that far and spending that much money to stand in line and look at a stupid mouse.
All
I'm
right.
like, I wanted to punch the mouse in the face,
All
just
right.
like he punched. So he drove
So,
2,460
beloved
miles, and I said to wait in the heat. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not
It's
doing
not that bad. By the way, real quick, what is this business model that you closed for cleaning
Yes,
for 2 weeks in the
that's-
summer? That would be your busiest theme
Yeah.
park time. That's like a October, November activity. And from what I know of Disneyland, since you hate it,
I do.
they don't close the whole park. They just pick rides to clean, and
Yep.
that ride is down.
Yeah.
The park is still open. So Marty Moose or Roy Wally here, not a good business plan to have
No.
that closed.
Losing some money.
No.
But and the obliviousness to think, oh, we're the first ones here. No one else is at the park today.
No one, yeah.
So,
yeah, he was.
They're just first there.
so we're just
Yeah.
first there. So
Yeah. No, that's
All right, so
Marty
you
Moose.
hate the moose.
He represents. I just.
All
I
right.
don't think- ugh.
okay, that's flawed, but yes.
I
All
don't-
right.
I
So-
just cannot get into it.
Least believable event, most outrageous event within the movie. Kurt,
I went with the sleep driving for the extended
I
period
also
of
went
time.
with the sleep driving.
Yeah.
Extended period. Come on, everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead. They're
Everybody's
going over
dead.
curbs. They're riding
Yeah.
up on sidewalks.
He misses a
Nobody
dog
wakes
by
up.
6 inches.
Yeah,
no,
that was great. That guy yanked that
Oh,
leash and
yeah.
that dog flew into his arms.
Hell yeah. So
With a
no, and he ends up in a motel parking lot, and no, it's so ridiculous. It's trying to be funny, but they'd just all be dead. Everyone.
I read that in the scene where they're going through some part of town and the gentleman's walking out of like a cafe,
yeah.
and he almost gets hit. That guy is a stuntman, but he also played one of the dudes driving the truck at the beginning of Christmas Vacation.
No,
he's,
okay.
he's one of the same guys. So,
Nice.
Anyway, my least believable event
Okay.
is the whole pool scene with Christy Brinkley.
Why is it least believable?
Because I just put I
It
found
happens
this,
all the time.
All the time.
Right.
Tommy Boy, they do it too.
So I found this quote and I really like it. It said, Clark represents all of us guys who see ourselves as how we once were. We can't help it. We still think of ourselves as college-age players with full heads of hair who know all the hip slang, current bands, and cutting-edge fashions. Except we're not, and we don't. And even if we were, it would be a little weird and creepy. Even though Clark uses phrase like later dude in a different movie,
Yeah.
he still dresses like a dad who was raised in the 1950s and prefers to sing Joy to the World and Mockingbird even over any current songs. He chooses flannel shirts with Christmas sweaters over the slick fashion of his narcissistic neighbors. So just the idea that he could even...
You keep bleeding two movies together here.
Well,
We're not
because he's-
talking about the Christmas one.
No, but I think we have there's crossover. Absolutely, he's the same character. He does a good job
Well, I
playing
got
both
that.
characters.
Yeah.
But I think the idea of him ever even getting near that woman,
No. But he does it.
None of us in this room would ever. If Christy Brinkley rolled up in a Ferrari next to our car, there's no way she's looking at us going,
like,
hey.
I do a head bob. Hey,
no,
girl.
she wouldn't.
Hey, girl.
You'd bust out your booty jam.
90s boys to men.
You'd bust out your booty jam.
That sounds like dick in a box, actually.
Okay. Same thing, right?
No.
That could also work.
That could also work.
It's not happening. That's why my wife is not worried.
No, of course.
Because she's like, nobody's doing that. Nobody's touching you.
We've reached the, you wouldn't know what to do with it if you got it.
Right? My dad told me that one time.
There you go.
I know this is an inappropriate story, but we went to a strip club for the first time. And my dad, he looks at me and he goes, son, you wouldn't know what to do with her if she sat in your face.
There you go.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
Wise words, Dad.
Wise words.
Thank you.
I'd figure it out, though.
Yeah.
You figured it out. Labia major. No,
can you eat a peach for days?
For hours?
For hours.
All right. Category 9, best cameo. I went with Eugene Levy as this one's my car salesman. He's only in it for a couple minutes, but he's a great car salesman. He got him to take the truckster. You can tell he's a slime ball. Eugene Levy, awesome. I love Eugene Levy. Anyway, just to see him early and young, quick in this movie, I thought was funny. So he's my best cameo.
And it does feel like he's a guy that they almost didn't need to write anything for him. They were just like, okay, you're a car salesman. Go. And he's like, I got this.
His voice, everything works perfect.
Just start rolling, guys.
Yeah. I just love his face when through the window when Clark pulls him, and he just like rolls his eyes like, oh, we don't have that car.
No. So he's already scheming. He already knows.
He calls him Mr. Griswold, but then when they're walking over, he goes, hey, Claude. He goes, Clark.
Yeah. Well, and then what does he call Rusty?
Yeah.
He's like a Reuben or something like that.
Yeah, he called him Reuben. So.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, my best cameo, I went with John Candy.
Oh yeah,
So,
obviously.
Yeah, I just love. He had some good lines. It was like, when they were on the little motorcycle ride, the little kiddie ride. This is scary. And he's like, make sure you hold on to the handlebar, kids.
Or the I had a bad experience on this ride once.
Yeah.
I threw up.
Well, and then I like how Rusty's actually covering his mouth.
Oh yeah,
he
doesn't want to toss some chunks on him. So.
And after he shoots him, he goes, "You wrecked these pants. You're paying for them."
You're paying for
them. Gosh, I went with Christy Brinkley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just thought very, very iconic. The girl in the Ferrari.
Yeah.
She
is.
was kind of an 80s.
Just
that character.
Oh yeah.
The 80s icon. It's been copied, and
She caused a tingle, didn't she?
She caused
the tingle. Yeah, the tingle. And I read that she was supposed to go topless.
She was.
She refused.
She said no.
She wouldn't do it. Yeah.
Good for her.
Despite only having a few scenes, Christy Brinkley stayed for the entire length of the film shoot. She spent her days off going horseback riding and whitewater rafting.
Ooh,
there you go.
Very good. Was Billy Joel there?
Might have been. Yeah. Some other cameo stuff that I thought was cool. We talked about Jan Candy being paid $1 million.
Yeah.
Beverly D'Angelo's husband was the musician playing in the piano bar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then, and then we talked about the guy that was also the stunt double. That was in Christmas Vacation.
The stunt double. So, that gets us to our last category.
Oh, boy.
Category 10. Rob's favorite category that we do.
This is hard.
He's a fashionista. So we're going best outfit.
I'm wearing Crocs and socks. What are you talking about?
You don't have socks on today.
No, I did. I went without the socks.
Yeah, you're without socks today. So Kurt, we'll let you lead off because I know that you have your eye on fashion.
I do.
So best outfit.
And there was a lot to choose from in this movie.
There was not.
There was. There was a lot of good looks.
There was a lot of good looks.
But I went with the blue plaid shirt and the short khaki pleated shorts.
Short shorts, yes.
And the loafers as they're running up to Wally
Running in
World.
loafers is great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, my notes here say Chevy Chase's short shorts, shirt tucked in, penny loafers.
So same outfit?
Same outfit.
Perfect.
At the end, especially at the end when they get out of the car at Wally World.
Oh, yeah.
You really get a good shot of it.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, that's a lot of legs.
If you watch before that, Chevy Chase wears the same pair of Converse, but 4 different colors of them. So he's got a lot of shoes on this trip, by the way. I'm just going to throw that in there.
The idea of wearing shoes with no socks.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, no.
That drives me nuts.
Well, not loafers.
Yeah, no. That's
Just the leather. They got to be broken in just right.
Nope. I'm not.
Do you think they were penny loafers? Do you think he had the pennies?
I don't know if he had any pennies.
Or did he have tassels?
There was. I don't remember tassels.
Okay, I got you.
I do believe there were penny loafers, but I don't know if there was pennies in them.
And those were shorts.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a tie. My first one was whatever Christy Brinkley's wearing or not wearing. That white outfit's great. Her and Nothing's great. Everything with Christy Brinkley's great. But I will say this is the 80s, and this movie shows off and is the height of polo shirts. Rusty and
The
Clark
alligator polos
are poloing it up in this movie. I mean, Clark wears like 4 or 5 different colored polo shirts. Rusty's got a pink one. At one point, Ellen's wearing that
The
pink one in the bedroom. Yeah, very nice. And ode to polo shirts in this movie.
And this is this is John Hughes pre 16 Candles, so this is before all that really, so you can kind of see the style that is coming later, that becomes kind of the
But
thing.
I think ode to polo shirts here.
I will say one of the other things I was going to put is a little creepy.
Here we go.
Is Beverly D'Angelo's shirt, just her night shirt, wearing the. I like that look.
Why is that creepy?
It's a good
one.
Now, if you had said Cousin Eddie's night shirt, then we would have had some creepiness going on.
Yeah.
So
his stained wife beater.
Did Cousin Eddie have a mustache, or was just he had
did
showered?
It was like
a
that.
Little gross,
it was that.
I think so.
Yeah,
it was rough. Oh. So, well, I think that covers just about everything you could talk about for National Lampoon's Vacation. So, final verdict: what do you think of this movie?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
That's right.
I read a lot of things that said it was top 50 comedies of all time.
Did it age well?
No.
Okay. Parts of it did not.
Parts of it did not age well.
That's a good way to say that.
So in 2023, parts of it, which we've talked about, didn't hold up as well then. And so I think in 1983, I'm surprised some of those were still funny. Like I said, the French kissing thing, I don't even understand in 83 how that was funny. And if you're off camera and you're Harold Ramis and them, you're like, we wrote this. I mean, there's so many other ways you could have done that didn't go that route, I guess is the best way to say it. And does that make rural Americans look good? Because you're insinuating that because they live out on a farm. Yeah. So a couple things. They kind of make African Americans look like thieves and it's unsafe to be around them. They make rural folks look like they're all, kissing each other. I don't know. There's a couple of stereotype tropes in here that probably didn't go as good as.
Well, and I don't
even think would have gone well in 83, but it apparently went well enough. So.
I don't know if there's a controversial thing to say, but I wonder. Because, like Blazing Saddles and The Jerk and some of those movies that came out that used some of that kind of borderline humor.
Yeah.
And
but I think
maybe
that
that's
was a
what
little different, I guess.
They were trying to do. And I wonder, we've talked about before, do we take ourselves too seriously now? And they were trying to be funny and, they're trying to be funny, but I don't think those two... I don't think those are as funny, just in general. But, is what it is. Look, I've seen that movie 100 times. And even when I was a kid, when they did the French kiss line, I didn't laugh then. I was just like, ugh. Like, it was always just gross. That's all it was. Even when you were a kid, that's like, that doesn't sound right. Who's kissing their dad, by the way? Right? So, well, I think about, some of the movies that, Me, Myself, and Irene and, the whole, the whole, there's things in that movie that are just,
of course there are.
Or, something about Mary or, you go, man, it's just gross.
Just gross.
But we go, man, those are classics. Now we look back and we go, man, those didn't. Will our kids look back and go, yeah, those didn't age well.
Yes. Well, I think overall, funny movie. Still, you can watch it with the family. Might have to explain a couple things, but overall, I think it's a solid, classic family movie. So first, I want to thank Kurt for being here again with us today.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Yes, it was fantastic. Rob, you got anything for Kurt?
I don't. I hope we get to do it again. I like having you here.
You like having me here? Yeah. He'd rather have you apparently than me because he's never said he likes having me here.
He's just had you too much.
I know, too many times.
He needs variety. He wants to have me now.
He wants to have me now.
Ew. Got to change it up.
So, okay, well, that brings us to the end of this episode, just on time, of Totally 80s and 90s Recall. We hope you've enjoyed our look back at the 80s classic movie, National Lampoon's Vacation. If you like this podcast, please hit that subscribe button and share with a friend, and head on over to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us feedback in 5 stars, which will help the show grow, and we love to read the feedback. Rob and I love hearing from our listeners, so please leave us a message on Instagram, Twitter, or our website, which are all included in the show notes. You can also email us at 80s90srecall@gmail.com with comments or show ideas you may want to hear in the future.
What are we doing next time?
Homework for next time. We are going to be looking at our because we were both big baseball fans growing up.
Yeah.
Our favorite Major League Baseball players of the 1990s.
Nice.
So we will cover those folks, whether they were juiced up or not. We're gonna find out what we were into in the 1990s.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
I'm excited.
Juicy. Yeah. So you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Fancy goodbye?
No fancy goodbye.
No fancy goodbye.
All right, peace out.
Peace out.
All right, that episode is going to be
Rough.
It's going to need an E.
It's fantastic.
Anytime you're talking about
labia majora, come on.
Really brought that in from the warm-up. Nice work.
You said sit on your face. All right.
Oh, I did say that.
You
I said I figured it out.